This is Blake, and this is my banter about podcasts. Ableton Live is a great program for doing podcasts, especially in a live scenario. It's bulletproof, and it has a clip launch function that's great for using sound effects, music, things like that. So here's a template we use in the studio a lot that gets great results. Obviously, you'll need an audio interface to get your mics hooked up and your preamps hooked up. I will do another tutorial about that another time. But once you have an interface picked out, follow the manufacturer's instructions on how to get it set up. When you first open Ableton, it will come up looking like this with 2 MIDI tracks and 2 audio tracks set up. For these purposes, I'm going to go ahead and delete these 2 MIDI tracks and this one audio track. Just click on it, hold down Shift, and hit delete. I'm using a Mac, but on a PC, the function keys may be slightly different. So now we have an audio track. What we can do now is, if you click this arrow up in the corner, it brings up your plugin windows. I want to open up an equalizer, the EQ8. I'm going to drag it onto this track. This may look intimidating to some people in the beginning, but it's not that hard. If you watch my other tutorial videos, it's very similar. Think of this as treble over here. This is the EQ. And think of this side as bass, 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 getting the radio effect, bass. And this is the mid-range. Of course, you can open up other bands to tweak it even harder if you want to. As I continue to talk, you can hear it shape the sound a little bit. But 4 should be enough for a basic podcast. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this audio 1 and rename it Mic 1. Just hit Command R or right click to hit rename. Now, most podcasts in a live scenario will have more than one person speaking. So let's say we're going to have 3 additional people aside from myself. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this track by right-clicking and hitting duplicate. And you can see the track copied this EQ over, so now we don't have to open it 3 more times. Then simply go through, hit Command R on a Mac, and you can rename these tracks to the number of mics you have. Or you can put a name in, like that. Ableton works a little bit different than Pro Tools and Logic and other softwares in that you don't create auxes the same way. You create groups. And I think it's really neat the way they do it. Click on the 4 tracks you want to group. Then you just right-click on them and hit Group. So now what we have is a new fader that will control all the mics. You can see up here, this line means that these 4 tracks are connected to this group, and I'm going to rename this group Mic Group. On the mic group, I like to put a little bit of compression. So just go into your plugin window again, grab a compressor, and drag it on top. I like to say the compressor keeps everything a little bit in line when it comes to podcast mics. If I get really loud now, as I turn this down, this triangle here is the threshold. If I get really loud, it will turn me down. The GR stands for gain reduction. That keeps one person from being too loud in a live environment. The next thing we need is 2 tracks for the music. Let's say we have a different piece of music for the open and the close. Go up into this area here, right click, or hit Command T, and you'll get 2 new tracks. Rename them. Let's again pretend you have 2 different tracks for the show open and the show close. And now they're named. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to group those 2 tracks, right-clicking on them, group, and I'm going to call this the music group. But what's going to be different about this, I am going to put a compressor on it, but what's going to be different about this is how I set up the compressor. So I'm going to go ahead and drag a compressor on to the music group. And then in the compressor, this little triangle will open up a few more settings, and you'll notice sidechain. So what I'm going to do now is grab some music and throw it in the clip launch area. Here's a piece of music. So you can hear as I talk, nothing really changes in the music. But I want this music to turn down while I'm talking without having to have an engineer or myself turn it up and down to give it more of a pop or a radio feel. The way to do that in Ableton is so simple. Go to the compressor. We've already opened it up. Push sidechain and then put audio input from mic group. Then pull the threshold down, and now when I speak, you'll hear the music is turning down automatically. If I hit the release back, if I push it back, this is how fast the music will turn back up. This is how much the music's being turned down, and you can see it turning back up slower now. So I've loaded another piece of music in the group up here. You can see no matter which one I play, because it's in this group, it will turn down as well. So basically anything that's in this group, in the mic group, when it's activated, it will turn down this group because we selected sidechain, mic group. So that's a really quick way to get a session up in Ableton that's effective and has the automatic mic dipping in it. I hope you found this tutorial useful. For more podcasting tips and free resources like audio templates, sessions, and video, go to humanfactor.net.